Okay, so to make my lion face, I need to start with 2 ears and a muzzle. So first, I need to do a magic ring. So if you don't know how to do a magic ring, my favorite way is, I'm about to show you. So I take my yarn and I hold my end in my left hand so it's dangling. And then I take my working yarn in my right hand and I wrap it around 2 fingers, still holding that end right here with my thumb. Wrap it around 2 fingers, come over, and then around this 3rd finger here, and then I hold that in place with my pinky finger. So underneath, you can see I have my yarn end hanging out underneath this working yarn piece. So now I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go under that shorter strand and over the longer strand, pull the longer strand over. I'm going to turn my hook and then I'm going to grab this piece here that I'm holding with my pinky and I'm going to pull that through like this. And now I have this lovely little pretzel-y shape, and that's what I'm going to use to crochet into. And it's important that I keep this piece, this tail here, kind of dangling. I don't want to pull it closed. I don't want to unravel it. I want to keep it just as it is because that's going to allow me to easily tighten up my circle. So now to make an ear, I'm going to half double crochet into the magic circle 2 times, and my hook is a little sticky. Remember to half double crochet, you yarn over, go pull up, and then pull through all 3. So there I have 2 half double crochets. Now I'm gonna put in 3 treble crochets or triple crochets. So the way you do these is you wrap yarn over once, yarn over twice, and now I go in to my circle and I pull through my 3 trebles. So once again, I yarn over once, yarn over twice. Now I go into my magic circle. I'm gonna pull up a loop. So I have 4 loops on my hook. I'm gonna yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And so that gives me 2 treble crochets. I'm gonna yarn over twice again. I'm gonna go into my magic circle, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So now I have 2 half double crochets and 3 treble crochets all into my magic circle, and I'm putting these crochets over both strands of yarn here. So to make my circle a little more manageable, just because I like to hold it when it's a little tighter, I'm gonna pull on that strand there. And now I just need 2 more half double crochets. So I yarn over once, pull through, and now I'm gonna pull through all 3 on the hook, yarn over once, go in, pull up a loop, and I'm gonna pull through all 3 on the hook, and now I have an ear. So I'm now going to take my end piece here and I'm going to close my circle nice and tight, just like so. And then I'm going to fasten off my yarn here by chaining 1 like so, and I'm going to cut my yarn. And I'm leaving a nice long tail here that I can use to sew this onto my little lion face. And then I like to take these 2 ends here and I like to just tie them together to just kind of help pull in that little ear there. So because we used half double crochet, which is not a very tall stitch, next to a treble crochet, which is a very tall stitch, it gives us this really cute little 3D effect that makes it look like an ear. So I'm going to take my little ear and stick it on my lion and have to make another one. So now I have 2 little lion ears. So I can stick these on my little lion head. So now I need to make my muzzle. So I'm going to, once again, make a magic ring. And then I'm going to, that was kind of fast, let me do that again. So I'm gonna have my tail, turn my fingers, wrap around once, here, hold it down. And I'm gonna go under, grab, and pull this up. My husband is making tea, it sounds like, while I'm making a video. So if you hear my kettle, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so now to make my muzzle, just like with the ear, I'm gonna start with 2 half double crochets. So I yarn over, go into the magic circle, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, pull through all 3. I'm gonna do that again. Now I'm going to do a double crochet. So a double crochet starts like a half double, yarn over once. This time, when I pull up my 3 on the hook, I'm gonna yarn over, pull through just 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm doing a treble. So I yarn over twice, and now I pull through 2, pick one up, pull through 2, pick up a loop, pull through 2. And now I'm going to start working it down again. So I'm going to do a double crochet. And then I'm going to do 4 half double crochets. So this forms the first little cheek. So I'm going to do my half double crochet, and then half double crochet. And now I need 2 more half double crochets. I'm still working into this magic circle. So let's see, how many do I have there? I have 2 doubles. Okay, so now I'm going to do another triple, or I'm sorry, another double. So I'm doing the same thing this time, just kind of backwards. So a double, and now a treble, or I like to think of them as triple crochets. I feel like it makes more sense, double and the triple, instead of double and treble, I don't know. And now another double. And now I'm going to do 2 half doubles. And the reason for that is because on the top I did 4 half doubles. But on the bottom, I started with 2 half doubles. So now I want it to be even. So when I pull it closed, I'll have 4 half doubles on the top, 4 on the bottom. So now I'm ready to pull my muzzle closed. And now I have a cute little muzzle-y thing. So this one I'm not going to tie. I'm just going to pull through, leave a long tail for sewing, as always. Now, lions have more than just this little muzzle-y thing. They also have the bridge of their nose is very pronounced. So now we also need to make that piece of it. Because if I were to put this on just like this, it's cute, but it's not quite a lion. Now, here's my muzzle. And so we're gonna count from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this 5th stitch, this is where we're gonna go in. And so I'm going to take my yarn end. I'm ignoring the tails on my muzzle. So I'm gonna take my yarn end and I'm going to drape it over my hook, pull it taut with my hand so that I can pull it through the stitch that I've identified, that I put my hook through. And now I'm gonna keep holding on to these 2 ends. And I'm gonna treat them as one as I make a chain to kind of lock that in place. Now I'm gonna take this end and I'm gonna stitch over this end for the rest of this part. And that'll continue to lock it in place. So I'm gonna chain 2 more, 2, So that's 3 chains. Now I'm going to do a treble crochet, so I yarn over twice and then go through the next stitch, and I pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Yarn over twice. Now I'm going to go through this next stitch right here, pull it up, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And now I'm going to do another treble into this one. So that's 3 trebles total. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now I'm going to do a double. Now this chain 3 here counts as a double because it doesn't quite look the same, but it's a similar height. So people aren't going to look too closely at this to notice the difference between a chain 3 and a double crochet. So there's my double. And now I'm going to make a chain, and I'm going to leave a long tail for stitching, and I'm going to pull this through to kind of tighten it off. And now I have this slightly inappropriate looking muzzle. So here's that end that I pulled on, that I used to kind of lock in here. Oh, I don't know why that's like that. That's okay. We'll hide it when we stitch it on. So now I'm going to pull this guy because he's now nice and locked in. This end was where we attached here. So I can trim this one. So I don't need that. These I'm going to leave because now I'm going to have to sew on my little slightly phallic looking muzzle. So I'm going to take my little lion face. We're going to put the muzzle right here. And now you can see he's starting to look like a little lion. So now I'm ready to, I could be ready to sew on my little muzzle. But I personally think it is easier to do the nose, to sew the little black nose on here before I sew this down. And so to do the nose, I like to use yarn instead of embroidery floss, because I feel like embroidery floss is too thin. It tends to disappear into the yarn a little bit, and then you have to double up and it's annoying, and so yarn's just easier. So I have the same weight yarn that I have for all the rest of these, same brand. And I'm gonna put this in my little yarn needle. And I'm going to now take the nose, and I'm going to go through this little hole here with my yarn. And I'm not really going to worry about making a knot or anything. I'm just going to kind of hold this end in place here. And so now I'm going to find these crochets here. You can see the individual stitches if you kind of spread your little muzzle apart. And so I kind of like to follow those to make the triangle. And it's not really very scientific. I mean, you just do it till it looks good. When I've made these in bulk, I actually kind of had a lot of fun making all the little noses look slightly different. So I went through, now I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to go under on the other side here. About right there, I think. I want to go from there. I'm going to pull it through. And now I have enough tension on my yarn that I don't have to worry about holding this down because it's kind of, there's enough friction that it won't really go anywhere. I'm going to go back through that center hole, and it's already starting to look like a little lion nose. And now I like to go through these other crochets as well, because I like my little lion noses to be pretty distinct. I also think it helps to have it give more of a fur-like appearance. Like that. There we go. I have to put one more right here. There. So now I'm going to take my black yarn and I'm going to now pull it from here to go up to kind of pull this piece here, this little V that forms between the two little cheeky things. Pull that there, like so. This time I'm going to make sure I'm not splitting my yarn in the back. So, there. It's already looking much more lion-like. So I'm going to take my long black string here, my black yarn, and I'm actually going to leave this. I'm not going to cut it yet because I still want to use this for my eyes, to sew on the eyes here, and to also sew on a little mouth down here, but I can't do that until I sew this piece on. So I am, however, going to use this black piece here to kind of anchor this onto my piece. So I'm going to make sure I like where it's going, and I'm looking to see that, since I want this to be diagonal, I'm going to make sure that this little nose here is pointing all the way down, and that should make it stay put. Now, if you wanted to make it horizontal like this, you could also do that. But I already made a bag like that, and it's beautiful, and I get tons of compliments on it. It's just all these little lions. But for this particular square, I'm going to make a bag that requires having diagonal squares, or like diamonds instead. So I'm going to use my hook here to just grab that, so it's easier and faster. Now that kind of anchors that in. So now I'm ready to sew this guy on. And so I'm going to take, normally I would start with this piece up here and use that to kind of go around, and then I would pick up these and use those to go around, but this I had to cut since I split it. Don't do what I did. So instead, I'm just going to use my hook to kind of pull it through to the back, so it's out of the way and not an eyesore. And again, it also kind of helps to anchor this piece down a little bit, so that as I am sewing it on with my yarn needle, it will stay put. Okay. So I'm going to now go, let's start by going in. And so now I'm just kind of going through each stitch. So you may have a preference for how you stitch things on. You may not. I like to use the back loops of that outer stitch there because they're harder to see. Once you sew it on, it kind of makes it look a little more invisible. You just kind of go between, if you can, go between these stitches on the inside. But it's okay if you have to split those stitches, because once you put your needle through and the yarn goes all the way through, it'll close right back up like that. You can't even tell. Has a muzzle. So on the back here, you'll see I have all these long tails still. It's still kind of messy. So I know some people, like if you were going to take these and turn them into a blanket or something where you need to see both sides of your granny square, front and back, then I would take the time to weave in these ends so that it secures everything, and also so that you can't see them from the back. But I'm not doing that because this is going to make a bag. And I'm going to line my bag with fabric. So once I finish making the bag, you're never going to see these ends, the back of these squares at all. So instead, I just take my spares and I tie a knot. I cheat, and then I cut it short enough so that it holds the knot, and not so long, but not so short that it will pull out. And now I have this piece here, but I can work with this piece here in a minute because I still have to sew on my ears, and I still have to do my mouth, and I have to do my eyebrows and my eyes. So, but he's already looking so cute. So now I'm gonna take my ears, and for the ears, I'm just gonna kind of have them, I want them to kind of look like they're coming out from between these two layers of the Starburst pattern. So I'm gonna take one and I'm gonna have them go like right there. And then I'm gonna take the other, and I'm also, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm looking at the kind of the corner of the top of the muzzle here. I'm gonna take this corner and I'm just gonna kind of, I want it to just kind of follow the stitches to that ear. So I'm gonna take this one and I'm just gonna kind of follow those stitches as well to the ear. It's about right there. And I think that looks cute. I could make them come out a little bit more too, but I kind of like them right there for this guy. And the ear placement can also have a lot to do with your lion's little expression. So I'm gonna take an ear, and once again, I'm gonna attach this piece, and I'm gonna make sure that my ear is still where I want it. And that piece is in the way. There we go. So I'm just gonna go into that first initial piece that I want. Now when you're putting the ears on, you're not going to sew them on the same way that we sewed on the muzzle, because we want them to have this kind of perked up look. We want them to be a little 3D. So you're not going to use these stitches along here to sew them on. Instead, you're going to go in this inner part of the ear. So I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to go through. We don't really need a lot to anchor these little ears down, just need enough. Now I'm going to pull this piece through as well because it's annoying me. Okay, so we just need enough to where we know it's not going to go anywhere. So I'd say like 3 or 4 stitches should be good, especially since we're going to tie it in the back again. And the first ear, of course, is always the easiest because you're not trying to match anything. You just want it to be in there. There. I think that looks good. Yeah. All right. Now let me grab this other piece here. And now it's a mess on the back. That's okay. We don't care because we're gonna line this bag, and I don't really need it to look good on the back. But again, if you do need it to look good on the back because you're making a blanket or something, then I suggest you just weave in your ends instead of tying nifty little knots like this. Super simple knots. You don't want to tie them too tight because then you might end up bunching your square, and that would not look good. That would be a pain to fix. So now I think I'm going to take this end and tie it to this guy. And then I'm going to leave these ones longer still because I might use another end to tie something else. Oh, see, there it started bunching a little bit. Okay. There we go. So far, so good. He's almost done. So now I use bead eyes for this guy because, again, he's going to be a bag, not a blanket or anything. So it's okay if he has hard pieces to him for me. But if I were to be making this into a blankets or something that I wanted to be soft, I would probably crochet some little eyes to put on there. But I think beads here look real cute. So I'm gonna take my end, I'm gonna put it back on the needle, and I'm gonna poke it up where I want my eyes. And I like to put my little eyes just right here next to the nose, where it all kind of comes through. Right there. And these beads are kind of a pain because they have a really small hole. But I've had success in the past with just wetting my yarn and then poking it through, instead of trying to find a yarn needle that's wide enough to fit my yarn but small enough to fit through the whole bead. So I'll go through again. Let's see. There it goes. There we go. So I'm going to take my eye and poke it through, rethread my yarn needle. This part's kind of tedious because you have a lot of threading of things. And now I'm going to go through here closer to the nose. Kind of pull my eye into place, like so. Now I'm going to take my yarn again. I'm going to go through on the other side. And again, this is because I'm not trying to make it look nice. It's okay if it's a mess on the back. But if I were trying to make it look nice, I would be approaching this completely differently when it comes to my ends, and I would be disconnecting and reconnecting and weaving and all that. There we go. And then again, I'm gonna just kind of, so this guy kind of came out from the muzzle, so I'm just gonna put him like right there. So I wanted to go for symmetry. Let's see. There. Little guy. He has eyes. Now I have my black string, my black yarn already on my needle. So now I'm ready to do eyebrows. So I have to ask myself, do I want him to be a fierce lion or a friendly lion? And I think I want him to be a fierce lion. So I'm gonna pull my eyebrows. Maybe I'll pull them about here, come through this guy. And then I'm gonna go, make sure you pull it nice and taut, keep those eyes secure. So now I'm gonna go in here. Now I'm gonna take my needle and go through on the other side. And again, eyebrows are super fun too, because the eyebrow placement can really impact the expression of your lion. It can be fun to make them look a little quizzical or happy or sad or concerned, especially when you're putting a bunch of them all together in one project. It's really fun to have them all have different expressions. It gives your project a lot more character. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to, again, messy back, but that's okay. I'm gonna come down here to do his little mouth. And I like to take his mouth and just go under the muzzle. And I like to take it and go under here. This is where the artistic preferences kind of comes in. This is where it can also be a little tricky because sometimes it likes to come through the muzzle there, so I'll just kind of lock it in with a stitch. And it's okay if it's not too obvious that it's there, if it's kind of hidden in shadow, because we're just trying to really emphasize the shadow that's there to give the illusion of a mouth. There we go. Come in here. Like that. And now I can take this piece and I'm going to connect it to this one here, even though that looks like it was wrapped around a bit, but that's alright. We're going to tie it again. So we really want those eyes to be secure. Tie it nice and snug. There we go. Here's a little lion.